I'm Davy, and I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. This week, I'm going to be reliving one of the most embarrassing moments of my teenage years. Keep in mind, when you were a teenager, everything your parents did embarrassed you. Didn't matter how little it was. It could be something like your dad sitting on the couch and he coughs a little bit and you're just like, Dad, what are you doing? You're so embarrassing. Let's go, you guys. Yeah, something little like that. So imagine when your parent does something that would mortify anybody, no matter what age they were. That's the kind of story you're getting today. Now, to those of you who are new, you haven't been following for a while, you don't know much about my dad, let me clarify something. My dad is, well, yeah, never more so than in this story. Pun is going to be intended. So, one day, I am 15 years old, and my best friend, a guy I've known since I was like 10 years old, like a brother to me, his first year having a license in a car, he's 16, he's coming over to get me with his girlfriend, and hanging out meant we were going to do something probably not that fun, but we could have fun with, like walking around a grocery store and being stupid. Now that I'm older and I've worked in those, I hate people who do that. Guess you might call that karma. Now, like I said, he's 16, I'm 15. We've known each other since we were about 9 or 10 years old, and pretty much best friends since 9 or 10 years old. Not to mention, this friend of mine, I'll go ahead and tell you his name, I've mentioned him many times before in the past, author Ken Lindsay, author of the Gavin English series and the River Runes, available at kenlindsaybooks.com. He was not only my closest friend, he was also pretty close friends with my brother, and very close to the family. Not only did I look at him like another brother, my parents looked at him like another son, and he practically lived at our house. About a year after him and I became friends, we did move about 30-40 minutes away, but that didn't stop us. Pretty much every time there was a school break, like for Christmas or spring, he pretty much lived at our house. Many times throughout the school year, he would just come over for a weekend. During the summer, he'd go home very little. He pretty much lived at our house for like 3 months straight, going home for the occasional weekend. And I do mean occasional. So him and my parents, they'd met. Which is important to know in this story because the way my dad reacts later is weird considering that he and Ken Lindsay, well, they'd met. So this particular day, Ken Lindsay, that's going to happen a lot, comes over with his girlfriend, knocks on the door. My dad comes to see who's at the door. Another thing about my dad, that did mortify me growing up. My dad walked around the house naked a lot. Probably the reason that I've never really been the guy who walks around his house naked. Even when I lived alone and I would be alone, still didn't really do it. At the very least, I'm going to be wearing underwear. My dad came to see who was at the door naked. Now, some of you may be like, well, as long as he didn't answer, well, who cares? Me, because where we were living at the time, on each side of the door were windows, like those long windows that go down. They have like patterns on them, but you could clearly see who was inside. It was one of the few things I did not like about living at this place, because if somebody came over and you wanted to pretend you were not home, you better not be in the living room or the dining room, because they could clearly see you easily. So in this case, my dad walks out in the buff. And again, it's not just my friend, but his girlfriend is there. And he sees my dad, and he grabs his girlfriend, and he pulls her aside away from the window to keep her from seeing my dad's, what's a delicate way to put this? His twig and berries, his tango and cash, his cash and prizes, his
Captain Winky!
Thank you. Now some of you may be going like, was your friend used to this? No, because this is one thing I will give my dad. If company was around, he did not do that. So why did he walk out there to do that? I'll get to that. But apparently this attempt to keep my dad from not seeing Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, not seeing his Hall and Oates, not seeing his Simon and Garfunkels, failed. Apparently she saw everything. And now my friend Ken Lindsay is put in a very awkward position. He too does not want to see my dad's franken beans, his sausage and biscuits, his steak and scoopski potatoes. But he also is trying to alert him that it's him. So he very carefully sticks his head into that window part and goes, "It's me, you know, kid who practically lives here, me." And my dad turns around, walks back into his room, and Ken is relieved. He's like, great, he's going to go get Davy or at least put on a pair of pants. And either one of those would have been a great thing for him to do, but neither one of those is what he did. What he did was come out 10 seconds later, still sporting his athletic equipment, his tent and pegs, his Pedro and the mariachi group, but this time, the only difference between the first time and the last time is now he's holding a firearm. That's right, something that no man ever wants to see. My poor friend had to see. A man, completely naked, and armed. So now he even more cautiously and freaked out, scared, putting his head in the window going, "Me! It's me! Come on, you know me!" Finally at that point, my dad recognizes who it was. He recognizes that it was Ken Lindsay, the guy who would later become an author. He turns around and he pounds on my bedroom door going, "Davy, Ken's here." To which I just went, "Okay, great, Ken's here. Gonna go hang out with Ken. Awesome." Now, some of you may be going like, "Well, Davy, maybe your dad got freaked out because your friend came over way too late." It was 6 p.m. And of course I'm thinking everything's great. I'm all happy-go-lucky like, "Hey buddy, let's go hang out. Let's go do nothing but do it stupidly." We get in the car. First thing he told me is about how him and his girlfriend saw my dad's Troll and Goblins, his King Arthur and the Magic Stones, his Vampire and Zombies. And of course we go hang out for a few hours. What did we do that night? I don't remember. I was too angry, too embarrassed, too mortified. I get home. My parents are still awake. So the first thing I do is go to their room, knock on the door, of course, to make sure my dad's covered, walk in, and I can't think of what to say. All I can do is stare at him like, "What? What? What do you mean, what? What? What did I do now?" What did you do now? My best friend. Somebody you have known a long time. Somebody who has spent a long time in this household. Practically living here. Heck, practically to the point that voluntarily when he's here, he does some chores. He helped us move here. Eats a lot of our food. Especially when we have SpaghettiOs. He likes them cold, straight out of the can. That's true. And they're not bad. He knocks on the door. Not at an unreasonable hour. It's only 6. And you come out. Naked. Not once, but twice. And the second time, carrying a pistol. And just so you know, he tried really hard to keep his girlfriend from seeing anything, but his 16-year-old girlfriend knows exactly what your pistol and ammo looks like, your shotgun and shells look like, your bazooka and your grenades. She has seen them. That poor girl now shares in my dread of having seen your
Winky.
And my dad, in his bed, covered up, thank God he didn't get up, gets very serious, looks me straight in the eye, and defends himself by saying, "Davy, I was not concerned about whether or not I was dressed. What I was concerned about is that person at that door a burglar? Do burglars knock?" Which was so dumb because even though at this particular time we were actually for a minute living in a nice little area, we were clearly the white trash in the neighborhood. If a burglar did decide to knock, what were they going to steal? The milk crates we used to store our videotapes? Was he going to go out back and steal the shopping cart you stole to move wood? Was he going to steal the picture of dogs playing poker that you got off the internet and framed? Yes, we had all of this. And even still, did you really think that you were going to get murdered in the time it would take you to throw on a pair of underwear at least? You know what? Fine, Davy. Sorry. And you know what? I kind of had to forgive him because, whether sincere or not, he did not say that very often. So there you have it. That's the horrifying story of when my best friend and his girlfriend saw my dad's earthworm and roly-polies, his bear and cubs, his lion and... well, let's face it, this was the early to mid-90s, so his lion in the jungle. Hope you guys enjoyed this story. Hope you laughed at my pain and my dad, who's clearly... And if you did enjoy it, make sure to hit like. Hit subscribe. Hit that little bell so you get notifications from when I post new videos. And leave a comment. Tell me about an embarrassing thing your parents did to you. Tell me that you're glad that you didn't have my dad. Tell me some other names for male anatomy. Just keep it PG-13. Love you guys.